I will say it made me think a bunch of things about who this Zaza Rain God is supposed to be in the modern time. A lot of people are theorizing that's Dragon. And I would like that. I think it would be a cool change because like a lot of people have kind of leaned towards like a wind logia for Dragon or whatever. If he's gonna have a devil fruit, I think it should be one of these god fruits.
It made me laugh at like the whole narrative what they're getting because we got little bits of it beforehand with Cortisone. I guess it's the parents telling these stories about what was passed down, these boogeymen to them. You got the D clan, you got Nika, and now you got Zaza. It's like all the stories you heard back when we were younger are true. Like, you know, like pretty much like these all things are true. And like now you have Zaza coming in here.
Now we know at least one of those gods exists through a devil fruit. Luffy literally possesses the Sun God devil fruit. So if the Sun God exists as a devil fruit, then naturally people are going to wonder if the Rain God, Forest God, and Earth God are devil fruits too. I mean, that makes sense, right? Although, honestly, there's still a possibility they aren't entirely devil fruits either, which makes this even crazier.
I'm not gonna lie. This is one of my least favorite types of dialogue in all of One Piece. And it happens a lot. I don't want to say it's like a huge knock. I just don't like it. This information is being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Force-fed?
Yeah, it's like exposition dialogue. Like there's no natural situation where Killingham is explaining this out loud. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, obviously we need to know this. So here we have to get this. But like he could have thought this technically. Or like he could have flashed back to a time where Killingham was being taught about the Zaza demon or something. Him outright just saying this it's clunky. It doesn't work for me personally. I will say it made me think a bunch of things about who this Zaza Rain God is supposed to be in the modern time. A lot of people are theorizing that's Dragon. And I would like that. I think it would be a cool change because like a lot of people have kind of leaned towards like a wind logia for Dragon or whatever. If he's going to have a devil fruit, I think it should be one of these god fruits. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to give Dragon a devil fruit, it should be in this light where Luffy and maybe Blackbeard and Emu and Loki are kind of in at this current state. So that's where my mind goes. The fact that it seems to be a woman with 4 arms. I don't know. Some people are talking about Robin. Like, is Robin is this like the hidden unlocked awakened version of her fruit is actually this? I was like, I don't know how that would correlate to Rain, but we'll see. The ability itself is funny, and the origin of it, or at least the origin of it for the Celestials, or how they view it, is also interesting to me. They live above the rain, therefore, like the rain clouds, therefore they're terrified of it actually happening. So it makes me think of the fact that the world has flooded once. Did the Rain God, like they talk about the Rain God stormed and everything, right? The world's flooded before. Mm-hmm. The celestial dragons must have been absolutely terrified, but they're still living so high up above what that was down there. So I'm like, did they experience it firsthand? And then because of the result of the Rain God go up? Or like, did they just see it below? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then my mind goes even deeper where it's like, what Sundays was talking about a little earlier. Was the world really just inhabited by all of these super mega powerful ancient weapon level just god people? Yeah. And then devil fruits spawned because people wanted to emulate their power for themselves. And I'm like, that's so interesting to me because that changes the scope of One Piece to me. Like you're now tying into this like Greek mythology type of lore, you know, where it's like, yo, these people just walk the earth. There was a rain god. There was a sun god. There was a forest god that just existed. And at some point, corruption took place. People got enslaved. They started praying to, like, all of that lore kind of blends itself together to tell us, yeah, they were probably just walking the earth. And people were actively just praying to these different figures that had supernatural powers. But the question then goes back into, well, how did they just have these powers? Are they innately just all-powerful beings? Are they from different planets? Do they come from different solar? Like, is the rain god coming from a different planet? And like they ended up inhabiting Earth. Like we have the Lunarians who seemingly are from the moon. Are these other gods just elemental beings that came from the sun, from Neptune, from Mars, from wherever? And I was just like, my mind was going 1,000 places when I was thinking about what the rain god could be and what the origin of these gods walking the earth could actually be. Because now it seems more canon than just, oh, I thought of this thing. And I wanted this, you know? So, I don't know. It's really interesting to me.
It made me laugh at like the whole narrative what they're getting. Because we got little bits of it beforehand with Cortisone. Like I guess it's the parents telling these stories about what was passed down, these boogeymen to them. You got the D clan, you got Nika, and now you got Zaza. It's like all the stories you heard back when we were younger are true. Like, like pretty much like these all things are true. And like now you have Zaza coming in here, what it means. And I thought it was very interesting because in the Sky arc, the Shandorian priestess was mentioning the Sun God, the Rain God, and he mentioned the Forest God. They mentioned all of them. We're like, okay, that's like part of their culture, whatever. Now we're seeing, no, this is actually impactful for the world. Like, the whole world views it because the Celestial Dragons are there. Now we see it in the mural. And I thought it was interesting. Reading about that, I couldn't really place whose side who was on. The Force God did this. The Rain God cried or whatever. Like, I was like, who's on whose side? I was like, all right, we know Sun God, that's Nika, like this side. Are the other ones on the opposing side? I couldn't figure it out. But now what we're seeing here, the Rain God's on, I guess, Nika's side. Because the boogeymen, well, at least maybe not the same side, but they're enemies of the Celestial Dragons because that's part of their boogeymen. If Nika's supposed to be the Sun God, the Rain God and them, they're like allies, or they're just all enemies of the Celestial Dragons. So we're kind of mapping out these things, and it made me think of what you were saying before. What if this actually put Emu into a different light? If the whole world back then in the One Piece world, right, the first world or whatever you want to go, you had these people just walking the earth, and say like they were doing whatever. What if Emu wanted to revolt against them, these so-called godlike figures, because he thinks the way they're ruling or the way they're doing it is not helpful for mankind. He's like, there's disorder here. We need order. We need to stop them because what they're trying to do, and for all we know, they could have been enslaving some people. So Ian was just like, nah, I'm not right with this. Like, some of it, obviously, he does slaves too when needed, but he kind of wanted to gain power to overthrow these so-called ancient beings or gods, right? What if Emu, that was what he was trying to do, and then he's calling people a traitor because you didn't side with me against these ancient beings? I guess, I don't know, it's humanity, whatever you want to call it, whatever Emu and his group is. But it made me think of, what if that was the war? Emu seeing these powerful things and then saying, no, we're going to break away from them and attack them.
So while I do absolutely love that, I think that it's might be more likely that we see a situation where Emu collects the people together to overthrow these ancient gods and then tries to snake the rat like his way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, I want the top.
I want to be top dog, and he like Joe Boy agrees to take the gods out, and then it's like, whoa, you just want to be them. You don't want to remove them.
You're trying to replace them.
Yeah,
you want to. Yeah.
And then it's beef. But I mean, I don't know. That I love what you're saying though.
Yeah, it's.
I love how everybody echoing what I've been saying for a hot minute. I've been saying this for like good year plus now, bro. Emu might have not been in the wrong, dog.
Yeah. We'll see.
He in the wrong now.
yeah, most definitely.
He let it corrupt him at the minimum.
Yeah.
Listen, bro, would you rather be the slave or the person who owns the slave?
I'm an African American. I'm like, what am I doing?
It's heavy.
What's going on?
This is what I do to people?
It's heavy, man.
And then now, like, most people believe, again, like the thought, I was kind of with that sentiment too, of believing that it might be dragon, but also too wind. So it made me think of, we saw when we kind of hinted dragon's ability was back on Lockdown. So to me, I don't think it's just wind. It might be some type of weather or storm ability, which would have both wind and rain. Because we saw clearly in the manga, it said wind or whatever, we see a gust of wind. But then shortly after that, rain came. So that's why I'm thinking more of a storm-like ability than just wind. Or I guess an east wind could come or whatever could create a storm through wind. You know, but this is kind of focused on just rain. So it could be dragon, and I thought of like Garp, both your sons get mythical ancient abilities. One is Nika, and one is if it is true for dragon, one is the rain god. That's just crazy to me. Like your sons are directly in opposition to that, and also to the point where like they got abilities to even support their fight against them.
Y'all covered a lot of stuff. Again, yeah, you know, when I saw the Zaza demon, I was like,
shout out to Ace Baby, man.
Yeah, you know, I just was like, okay, I was like, yeah, like this is definitely alluding to, you know, the more we start to get painted picture of these myths, these stories that are so heavily engraved in some culture, whether it's essentially a dragon culture, whether it's the giant freedom culture, at some point they're re-referenced to be kind of true, at least their ability. So that's why even, you know, originally came from, I'm like, yeah, there must have been a lot of like ancient gods kind of just doing the thing. Now I will go to Law's point when he was talking about, you know, you know, wanted to go against the other gods and be like, you know what, this ain't it. I'm feeling like it's a very Hades reference here. How the gods of Olympus did Hades very dirty, you know, especially for him being, you know, Zeus's brother. They said, yeah, you're god of the underworld. This is what it is. I'm the king. You got to do what I say. And Hades is like, I kind of hate all of y'all. Like, why do I got to be god of the underworld? I was with y'all when it came to fighting Kronos. I was with y'all when it came to taking down the Titans. Why do I have to take the worst L in mythical history where I have to govern the dead and be by myself for eternity? And I'm excluded from all the other stuff the gods are doing. So I think that's kind of the reference I'm seeing here with Emu, that they kind of give him the short end of the stick. They were like, yeah, you kind of got to go down south, brother. We don't really rock with you up here on top of the mountain. And he's like, you know what, F y'all. How about that? I'm finna get Joy Boy to, turn the tides on y'all or whatever. But I kind of see the reference there after Law mentioned that. Aside from that, I definitely think that, one, I'm like, how out of touch? I mean, we know how out of touch the Celestial Dragons are, but I'm like, how out of touch do y'all gotta be to be afraid of rain? You know what I mean? Like, for that to be a traumatic like story. Oh my God, if it rains.
Well, the whole world did get flooded one time.
Right, and I understand that, but these guys, I mean, how old is Killingham in them? Maybe, barely, 100 years, maybe, not even close.
I will say that in Killingham summoning it thing, I think Killingham was actively trying to summon things that he's scared of so that he could use it to fight. Yeah. He just summoned or thought of the thing he's most scared of that would impact, also make Sommer scared kind of a thing. Yeah. But that was what my thought process.
Yeah. I love the design of Zaza. It's giving me like a geisha type Asian. I don't want to say Chinese because I don't know if that's necessarily correct. Mythical reference there. So I thought that was really dope. I think this will be interesting because I feel like we don't really get enough battles in general with water as the main attack power. You know what I mean? It's always like reference, like, oh, well, we got seawater and the fishmen can do this. And there may have been a devil fruit or two that kind of, I don't even know if they were canon, but I remember some fillers with some water devil fruit kind of situations. But I feel like this is finally some type of actual water, main attack force that we're getting. And I've always kind of been wanting that because, when it comes to the whole debates and about the water and the devil fruits and what's going to happen, how's it affected, I've always just been waiting for Oda to be like, look, this is what happens when some top tiers deal with almost a water Logia in a sense. You know what I mean? Because that's where I feel like we never really got so far in One Piece.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning, mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Shock. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm shining so bright. Don't come and try to share some of this light, no. Give me a beat and I control it like a maestro. Ladies on a mission, they be trying to get me wiped up. Shawty, wait a minute, can't tell if I like ya. Gotta make sure you know how to shake it like a bartender. Team with me and they all winners. And you know we ballin' all winner.
If you're still waiting for a reason to read or watch One Piece, this is exactly why you should. One Piece represents human nature and some of its purest form. You have the celestial dragons, people who take pleasure in the suffering of others, indulge in horrific behavior, and sacrifice innocent lives just to satisfy their endless greed. Oda presents them as monsters. Plain and simple. But then he adds layers to those monsters. These same celestial dragons are born so high above the world that they live above the rain clouds. So when they see rain falling from the sky, they start dodging, dog. They're like, yo, chill, bro. It's just so foreign to them. They're even raised on boogeyman stories about a rain god that will punish them by pouring water on top of their heads if they misbehave. That's what makes Oda special. He knows how to put you directly in the psychology of every side. No matter how grotesque or evil someone may be, he still finds a way to show the humanity, fear, conditioning, and then he takes it even further. St. Killingham tells us that before the Celestial Dragons were even afraid of the Rain God, they were taught to fear Nika and the people of the deep. Straight up. That instantly reminded me of Corazon speaking to Law when he was much younger. Corazon explained that, the Celestial Dragons, when the children misbehave, they're told stories that the D clan will just gobble them up. And the elderly among the Celestial Dragons would say, the D will always bring another storm. That line is incredible because the Celestial Dragons call themselves gods. Yet, they're the ones who are in fear of another godlike creature or existence. Meanwhile, the D clan are literally referred to as the enemies of God. So now I'm wondering, is Oda implying that the D-Clan themselves aren't just enemies of the Celestial Dragons, but enemies of anyone who tries to position themselves as gods? So shout out to Lawrence, because we were on the same page. Even the holders of god devil fruits? It's such an interesting dynamic because One Piece constantly questions what a god truly is. The people who claim divinity are often the cruelest, while the people branded as enemies of the gods are usually the ones fighting for freedom. So you need to watch One Piece and you need to get into it. Hopefully this video, if it gets clipped or whatever, makes you want to watch it. So this is the very interesting part of the chapter, and this is what I'm going to get into. I don't mean to sound like a complete glazer, but One Piece is genuinely peak fiction. We were just introduced to the idea of the Rain God Zaza. Now here's what's crazy about that. Over 400 years ago, in the Skypiea/Shandora flashback, Mousse told us there were 4 gods worshipped in the One Piece world. The god of the sun, the god of the rain, the god of the earth, the god of the forest. That was all the way back in episode 187. We are nearly 1,000 episodes later, and Oda may finally be revealing this character or this certain belief that wasn't entirely false. It was just misunderstood by Mousse and her people. Because now we know at least one of those gods exists through a devil fruit. Luffy literally possesses the Sun God devil fruit. So if the Sun God exists as a devil fruit, then naturally people are going to wonder if the Rain God, Forest God, and Earth God are devil fruits too. I mean, that makes sense, right? Although, honestly, there's still a possibility they aren't entirely devil fruits either, which makes this even crazier. Now, if we start theorizing about who could possess this crazy god power of the Rain God, this conversation could go in 100 different directions. A lot of the people believe Dragon is the Rain God because of Town. I mean, that's obvious, right? The moment Dragon appears to save Luffy, a storm erupts, rain pours down, and lightning just suddenly hits, and then he's right there. I mean, granted, I feel like that's easy picking to me. But I actually want to offer a different possibility. And this was from a past friend from the pod way back ago. They theorized that what if Vivi was actually connected to the Rain God instead? Because when you think about Alabasta, the entire kingdom descended into civil war because of the lack of rain. And during their civil war, when Vivi screamed her hardest, it started to rain. And it seemed like she willpowered that rain to be. So what exactly does it mean to have the power of the Rain God? If that's intentional foreshadowing, then Oda may have been setting up Vivi's connection to the rain centuries before introducing Zaza, right? Or whatever. And that's probably why Emu wants like Vivi herself. Maybe. At this point, the Forest God and Earth God could genuinely belong to anybody. I mean, I have no idea, brother. But I do want to focus on Zaza, especially for a second. Just for a second. I want to reassure everyone that what we're seeing right now is most likely Killingham's nightmare of the Rain God. And we already know nightmares in One Piece don't perfectly recreate the original. Look at the Sun God monsters created from the Elbaph children. It didn't look exactly like Luffy. It wasn't all white. There was some black in there, right? It even had like a beard. We don't know if that's what the actual Nika Nika looks like. So I think Zaza works the same way. What we're seeing may be an interpretation or distorted memory of the Rain God rather than the exact original appearance. But let's analyze Zaza at face value anyway. She appears to wear a unique straw hat-like headpiece. Her face is concealed, and she has 4 arms. Now, let's say these details are intentional. What if Zaza is actually connected to the fishmen? The 4 arms immediately stand out to me because fishmen often possess exaggerated or unusual physical traits. And we've repeatedly seen fishmen hide their defining features. Remember Jack? Concealed parts of himself with a mask. Dillinger hid his fins. Then you have Hachi, disguised himself while on Saboti. So the idea of the Rain God with hidden fishman traits, honestly, isn't impossible at all. And if that somehow connects to the Rain God, to Fishman Island, then things get insane. Because that could mean the previous Rain God Devil Fruit user originated from Fishman Island itself. Which would also mean the Rain God and Poseidon may have existed during the same era. They were stacked. Potentially even side by side. And if that's true, then Joy Boy's deep connection to Fishman Island suddenly makes even more sense, bro. It makes more sense why he was so fixated on Fishman Island. Because imagine an alliance involving Joy Boy, Poseidon, and literally the Rain God. Then you look at Elbaph's mural, and it says, during the Second World, when the man killed the sun and became God, the sea god Storm. The sea god could just be another name for the Rain God. when Joy Boy was taken out, right? And then the Rain God, raged. I'm here to tell you, I don't think the Rain God is the Sea God. I think the Sea God was actually Poseidon. And Poseidon's connection to Joy Boy, she decided to rage. And through that rage, she probably rose the sea levels with the Rain God and created the Calm Belt. At that point, if Emu and the Ancient Alliance still won the war against them, then the power must have been absolutely terrifying. Also, the first figure in the mural was the Earth God. So that means most likely Emu might be the Forest God. Another detail I can't stop thinking about is the water aspect itself. Like Jared said, Zaza truly controls rain or water directly. This could potentially be the first genuine water-based devil fruit we've ever seen in a series outside of associated with like ice, like the Chill, the Snow fruit. And then there's the wheel on Zaza's back. That symbol feels important because if the god fruits all share that wheel motif, then it could possibly imply that Emu also possesses one of the remaining god fruits, which I just mentioned. So it could be the earth fruit or it could be the forest fruit. I'm leaning more towards the forest fruit right now. Overall, I just have to say it again. One Piece is one hell of a manga. The amount of long-term setup, mythology, symbolism, and layered world building Oda continues to pull together after all these years is honestly incredible, bro. And I love this freaking series, man. At first, this chapter was like a 6. And then it just turned up to an immediate 10 after Zaza came into the picture. And then Killingham had his little talk about, I was just like, bruh, it's good to be a One Piece fan right now, dog. We haven't had a chapter like this in a little bit, bro.
I think the funniest part about the Killingham fear thing is that we've theorized and the community has theorized that he's a fisherman. And so, you would be good.
And I was thinking that too.
You're trying to be down so hard.
And I was thinking that too, because I'm like, you're afraid of the water god and you might be a fisherman? I'm like, get this guy out of here. No, just kidding. I was gonna mention real quick though, as y'all were referencing Emu and a lot of the god references, just like he said last chapter, he's like, what's the difference between a god and a devil? You know what I mean? And I felt like that was more evident now as we're starting to really see more gods. And you're really kind of like, what is the difference here? Who maybe we're just calling them gods because they're calling them gods, but it's like Emu's letting them know, like, what's the difference?
Here's the other piece, too, because I don't know where the nomenclature gets, created, but Larry and Lawrence both highlighted that these gods, as referenced in Skypiea, were seemingly taking, I think you even did as well, taking human sacrifices. They were about to sacrifice Mousse to this god. Is it possible that somebody was like, yo, I don't like this, and they wished or dreamed up, or a group of people dreamed up, a devil to overthrow them? And that fruit came to be whatever Emu currently has. Of
course.
You know what I mean? So
I've said this too.
Yeah, it's like...
I've said this a while ago, bro.
I don't be remembering.
All these devil fruits with god powers, right? See what's going on here? They're not god fruits, right? So interesting. It's interesting. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty much done, but...